to meet you here.
Gracias, Sheherazada. Buenos días, hola. Mi nombre es Keren Elazari. Very happy to be here with you today because I want to give you my perspective of the future of cybersecurity and why I think it is you who can hack this future and save it for the next generations to come. And I want to give you a few good reasons to think like a hacker and think about cybersecurity as something that we should all care about. So in the next hour, a little less than an hour, I'm going to invite you to join me on a journey to the future of cybersecurity. And to start our journey into the future, we have to make a little stop in the past. 20 years ago, actually, exactly 20 years ago, Nicholas Negroponte from the MIT Media Lab in the United States envisioned the future of the digital world. He wrote a book called Being Digital. And in this book, where he discussed how the future of technology will change every aspect of human lives, Mr. Negroponte claimed that pretty soon, our future, our life, is going to be so connected that it's going to be the bits and bytes that matter, not the molecules and atoms. In fact, he argued that his book will no longer be a paper book. We will only have digital books. And I think he pretty much had it right. Our future is very digital, it's very connected, and it's allowing us to do some fantastic things. You're all here today because the 21st century is using technology in new ways. But sometimes technology is also allowing us to do not so fantastic things. For example, if you heard about this website called Ashley Medicine, this is a website that allowed some people to do some not so great things. For example, to find a partner for an affair outside of marriage. Now, I'm sure you've never heard about this website, and you didn't use it because I checked all the names of the users and you're not on it. I see you're not laughing, maybe I need to check again, and your names are there. Okay. But here's the story behind Ashley Medicine. This website was recently hacked by a group of hackers calling themselves the Impact Team. The reason the Impact Team decided to take down Ashley Medicine and expose its users to the public was not because they are against people having a romantic affair. It is because they thought that the promise of secrecy, discretion, and anonymity that this website offered was false. And they wanted to show the world exactly how fragile this promise of privacy and discretion is. And this is something we are seeing happening in every industry, not just in the dating world. Even Hollywood studios have to care about cybersecurity these days. We all heard about the hack into Sony Pictures Entertainment, one of the biggest studios in the world. And if you follow this story closely, you also learned that the hack into this company influenced the decisions to release a movie. It also influenced another person. And this is where, surprisingly, sometimes a data breach can have a great cause. If you are Hollywood actress Charlize Theron, the hack into Sony Pictures was actually good news. Why is that? Charlize Theron was able to identify in the emails that were leaked from Sony Pictures Entertainment that as an actress, she wasn't getting the same pay as her male counterparts in the next movie. So using the information from the emails, she was able to argue for a fair and equal pay, which I think is fantastic for feminist Hollywood actresses. But what is the news for the rest of us? I think a lot of people are afraid of hackers because they remind us of something we don't like to think about. They shatter the illusion of privacy and security that we have in the 21st century. And this is why, for a lot of people, when they think about hackers, they think about bad guys and bad girls. But that's not my point of view. That's not my perspective. I think hackers remind us that actually we're very close to a world in which maybe there are no more secrets left, not for a lot of us, especially because we share our information freely online. However, I have my own secret to share with you, and because I'm talking about transparency, I will share it now. I first got interested in cybersecurity and in the hackers world about 20 years ago. Actually, a little more than 20 years ago. And this is what I looked like. Now, this is a real picture from my elementary school in Tel Aviv. And it will be hard for you to find me in this picture. I bet you are trying to identify who might this little girl be. Well, here is the spoiler. That's me. Yes, I was such a nerd. I looked like a little boy. And I would go everywhere with my Walkman like that and with my glasses. And even the guys that were playing Dungeons and Dragons didn't let me join the group because I was too much of a geek for them. I spent all my time in the library or in the lab. I was taking apart gadgets that I had at home and trying to do things to my computer, like overclock the CPU. Does anyone here ever try to overclock their CPU? Yeah? Okay, good. I'm in good company. So for the rest of you, I'll tell you that it's not recommended by the PC company or by Intel, but actually back in the days where people still had PCs and they built their own kind of computers from parts, you could put a little piece of plastic on the motherboard in the right place, and it would actually make your CPU go a little bit faster. And this is almost like kids playing with their car in the garage, trying to make it go a little bit faster. This is how I grew up. And I was teaching myself how to write HTML and PHP. And I had no idea this is the sort of thing that is called being a hacker. And I really didn't think it was criminal or negative in any way. And then one day, 1995, 20 years ago, I had a realization. And this realization was thanks to another Hollywood actress. Maybe you know her, Angelina Jolie. In 1995, Angelina Jolie played Acid Burn, a young female hacker, in a movie called Hackers. And that movie changed my life, because for the first time I saw that you can be a hacker, you can be the hero, and you can be a girl when you're doing that. And it's all okay, and it works together. And so I decided that this is what I want to do with my life, that I want to become a hacker for good, a hero, if you will. Thankfully, I had the right kind of support from my parents, and I was allowed to have my own computer at home, to explore the internet, to learn from other hackers that I met in IRC and other websites. I started a job in the local computer store so that I could meet those hackers that were also playing around with their computer and trying to overclock it. Since then, it's been a few years, so I had the privilege and the honor of working with a few of the leading Israeli and international security companies, government agencies, universities. And what I did with all of these companies and organizations that I worked with, what I always try to do, and what is my goal to do with you today, is to show the hacker's point of view, the hacker's perspective, and how being a good hacker can create the future that we would like it to create. So if you are willing to go with me on this journey, I'd like to offer you the opportunity to think the same way. In the past year, I had another realization. The realization that in this connected age, in the 21st century, it's not just about security companies or government agencies to secure our future. Actually, it's about everybody working together. It's about an ecosystem. And this ecosystem needs the immunity. It needs the white blood cells to identify the problems. And actually, hackers are that immune system. This is the idea I shared on the TED stage last year. And if you are familiar with the TED website and the conference, I recommend that you check out this talk. It's a very short one. But I was very honored and humbled that my message about the immune system went a little bit viral. So a lot of people have seen it, and it was also translated to Spanish and a lot of other languages. And the good news about that is that I wake up in the morning and I get emails from hackers all around the world, hackers from Africa and Japan and Latin America. And they're telling me, yes, we see ourselves as part of the immune system, as part of the solution, not the problem. And I hope by the time this journey we have today is finished, maybe you will see yourself in the same light. So Now is the time to consider if you want to be a part of the solution, if you want to save the future. And some people would say that they would like to change the world, but they don't have access to the source code. Well, the great thing about everything I'm going to show you this morning is that you don't need permission, you won't be breaking the law, and you don't need anyone to tell you, go ahead, get started. You can do all of these things by yourselves, at home, here at CyberCamp, at your company, at your university, anywhere at all. So I hope you're ready. I'm going to offer you this choice. And I understand that it is a difficult choice to take upon yourself this role of a hero. So I will give you a few good reasons, 5 good reasons why it's time to wake up, take the red pill, and become the heroes that can save the future. And we'll start with reason number 1, which is the biggest reason, the biggest issue, I think, for the future of cybersecurity. And this is something we are all starting to realize. Cybersecurity is not about secrets. It's not just about information. It's not just about bits and bytes. It's not about your Facebook passwords. I already have them. Nothing interesting there. It's not about your credit card details. It's about what we consider to be a modern society. It's what we want to see in our future. It's about things that really matter to our lives in a very intimate way. For example, take this insulin pump. If you happen to be a diabetic patient or you know somebody with diabetes, then you must realize that insulin pumps, like this device, can improve the life of diabetic patients. They monitor the blood sugar levels and automatically deliver insulin to the patient's bloodstream. Unfortunately, like a lot of new technologies, these devices can be hacked remotely. And it was the work of a famous hacker that I was inspired by, Barnaby Jack, who demonstrated with a radio antenna that these pumps could be hacked remotely. You might think his work is dangerous or illegal, but actually he never hurt any living human being. He demonstrated it with a transparent mannequin, but his demonstration sparked a solution. It was already 4 years ago, and it is not a coincidence that we are hearing more and more about cybersecurity in the medical device industry. I think it is a lot because of the work of Barnaby Jack and other hackers that were inspired by him. In fact, even the US Government Accountability Office and the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, after they learned about Barnaby Jack's research, after they realized that hackers are looking at medical devices, they decided that for a new medical technology to come into the market, it doesn't just have to pass FDA approval. It also needs to be considered for cybersecurity risks. So it's changing an entire industry, an industry that is going to save the lives of people. And in a different industry, perhaps you heard recently about these 2 hackers. They're very famous, Chris Valachek and Charlie Miller. And Chris and Charlie almost don't need an introduction in security conferences because they have a very special hobby: finding the most hackable cars out there. And they make their tests and experiments and demonstrations on vehicles of all kinds and types. A few months ago, they showed the journalist from Wired magazine how they can remotely hack a Jeep Cherokee and take it off the road. Again, this looks very frightening. It looks illegal and scary. However, this demonstration caused earthquake for the automotive industry. Now every big car company, from Volkswagen to Jeep, Toyota, Tesla, are all looking at the cyber security of their vehicles. And that's going to be a part of our future. Cybersecurity of medical devices, cars, even drones. Yesterday you heard from Sami Kamkar about his drone hacking. This is the team from the University of Austin in Texas that used the GPS signal to take down a drone in the desert of Texas. They already demonstrated the vulnerability of a spoofed, that means a fake GPS signal, a few years ago. After they showed their success with the drone, they moved on to something a little bit bigger, an $80 million super yacht. And I think you can guess the result. Using the same technology, GPS signal and a laptop computer, they were able to take this yacht off course. Again, nobody was hurt in this demonstration. It was used to show the power and the vulnerability of this technology. This is what I would like us all to be doing. And when I think about how cybersecurity is now in the human body, it's in cars, in planes, in boats, actually it might also be in another planet. This is the Mars Curiosity rover sent by NASA to the Red Planet. It landed there in the summer of 2012. And I'm curious how many of you can guess what language does this robot speak? And I'll give you a hint. It's the most popular language in the galaxy right now. Does anyone speak Klingon? No? Any guesses what's the language I'm talking about here? If you shout, I can hear you. Binary? So the guess is binary, zeros and ones. And you're correct, of course. But I'm thinking about something more specific, a language that humans and machines talk every day. Actually, it is Java. And Java, JavaScript, and the Java software environment is now running on billions of devices, not just on this planet, also on Mars. So if you want to know how to protect the future of cybersecurity, I think Java is going to be a big part of it. Because unfortunately, Java also happens to be one of the most vulnerable software environments out there. In fact, these are the top 10 computing and software environments in which the most vulnerabilities, that means the most bugs, the most problems were found in the past 25 years. And I don't know what languages you all speak or what do you work with in your company or your organization, but I'm willing to bet that you have to use these technologies every day. So this has been the history of cybersecurity. But the future of cybersecurity, it's going to be about GPS and RFID and Arduinos and smart cars and connected medical devices. And guess what? All of these new technologies are going to be connected to these vulnerable old technologies. And when these new things come together, so many new problems are going to be found out there. And here's what I'm thinking. Wouldn't it be a little naive to expect just one company, for example, the company that makes this product, to find all of these problems by themselves? That's why I think we need an immune system to identify all of these issues, if we ever want to, have a chance at securing all of these things. So what can you do? How can you take this number one problem and do something with your own future to make a difference? Well, the first thing that I would like you to do, and really the most important thing that I would like to tell you today, is to focus your cybersecurity research on things that matter for human lives. So not just credit card numbers or Facebook passwords. Devices like medical technologies, cars, connected homes, that is going to be the future of cybersecurity. And if you want to learn more about these issues, I have a few ideas for you. One idea is a fantastic movement called I Am the Cavalry. It was started by two hackers in Las Vegas at the biggest hacker event of the world, DEF CON, 3 years ago. And what these two hackers realized is that we need more hackers to look at things like connected homes and cars and medical devices. So if you want to learn about that, check I Am the Cavalry. It's a great resource to get started. If you want to build new Internet of Things devices and connected applications at home, if you're playing with a Raspberry Pi, Arduinos, other devices, and you want to make sure that you're actually creating secure technologies, learn from Build It Securely. It's a website with resources about how to hack hardware and create it as a safer alternative. And if you just want to play around, I recommend you check out Shodan. Anyone here ever used this website? Do you know Shodan? Great. So Shodan is like a search engine. It's like Google, for connected devices. You can find cameras or refrigerators or anything that has been connected to the Internet of Things and has a default username and password. Maybe you'll find one in your home or office. And when you do, take the opportunity to tell someone what you discovered and make it different, change it. Don't leave it vulnerable like that. Finally, of course, if you didn't see Sami here yesterday, I recommend you check out his YouTube channel. Because what Sami Kamkar does is a lot of hardware hacking. And what I think is fantastic about him is that he has these YouTube videos where he shows exactly what he built, how he built it, how you can do the same, and you can learn from his experience. And his recent success with the drone hacking, a project he called Skyjack, you can see all about it on his YouTube channel, he used something called the Raspberry Pi. I'm guessing a lot of you know about Raspberry Pi, but for those who don't, Raspberry Pi is a microcomputer that you can buy for $20 to $30, and you can learn about hardware hacking yourself. Another resource where you can learn about this sort of thing is a website called Adafruit Industries. And it's a company started by Limor Fried, who is an American hacker who became an entrepreneur. And she started a website to teach people about hardware hacking. And you can buy Raspberry Pis, you can learn about soldering, about electrical engineering, and buy projects that you can do at home with your kids or with your friends. And it's another great resource to take a look at. And now I'm moving on to the second problem. I promised that I will discuss 5 problems. So the second one, even if we do our best to secure the hardware and the modern technologies of our future, unfortunately, there are still some people out there that are working very hard, actually in the wrong direction. So they are making us all vulnerable. Maybe you can guess who I'm talking about here, but not to leave you guessing, I'll tell you that I'm referring to some of the biggest security agencies in the world, so-called security agencies, that actually invest a lot of money in software vulnerabilities and keep them insecure. And I think that makes everybody weaker. And I think the current discussion about making encryption weak will ultimately lead to negative results. Perhaps you didn't know about the SSL vulnerability called Heartbleed. Maybe you've never even heard about SSL. But if you used the internet in the past 10 years, I promise you that you've used SSL. Because this is the most fundamental encryption technology that everybody uses to log into their bank, their Facebook account, to do almost anything online. And so the fact that the SSL software library, OpenSSL, had a bug in it, a bug called Heartbleed, and this bug was known for 2 years to the National Security Agency, and they didn't do anything about it. That, to me, is one of the problems, one of the big problems that we have to deal with to secure our future. People will tell you that hackers are the bad guys. I have a different idea. I think the real bad guys, the real villains, if you will, the anti-heroes of our stories, are not the hackers. Hackers actually uncover the villains. The real villains are these software vulnerabilities that are making us all insecure. And as long as humans create technology, as long as we write code, we will have software vulnerabilities. This is a reality. And so we all have to work together to find these problems, these bugs, these vulnerabilities, like an immune system. Or maybe, if we don't solve these problems, Marvel will have their next anti-hero or a villain for their next movie. But all joking aside, I'm quite serious about this. And it might seem daunting, the idea that we can find all the problems. But about 100 years ago, a Supreme Court justice in the United States said something very inspiring. He said that there is no better disinfectant than the light of day. That transparency and sharing information is one of the best medicines against society which is sick and has problems. I don't think he was thinking about software hacking at the time, but the idea applies, in my opinion. And so I would like to inspire you not to keep your bugs to yourself. I would like to inspire you to share your findings of vulnerabilities and exploits. And here's the great news. In 2015, there has never been a better time to be a hacker or to be a security researcher, because there are so many ways that you can share your knowledge and experience with other people without getting sued, without going to jail, without doing community service. One such place is the open source vulnerability database, or the OSVDB. And you can upload a vulnerability to there, or you can check if the technology that you use already has a known vulnerability, which is listed on this website. Then perhaps you can be part of the team to fix this problem. If you are not in the business of vulnerabilities, but rather prefer exploits, which are the way to bring a vulnerability into reality, there is the exploit database, started by the same people that teach the offensive security courses at Black Hat, if you're familiar with that. And there is competitions at all of the biggest hacker conferences. Here in CyberCamp, I think there are also some competitions, but around the world, there are challenges like Pwn to Own, where all of the latest gadgets, the new phones, iPhones, and Blackberries, I guess, and Google phones, are tested to see who can hack them the fastest. There are so many ways to be a good hacker right now and make a difference in the world. Now, this is one of my other hacker friends. This is Nir Goldschlager. He's from Israel. And in the past 3 years, Nir is always hacking into Facebook. Every year, he is one of the top hackers that are breaking Facebook and finding problems with Facebook. But Nir doesn't go to jail. He gets a reward because Facebook, a company started by a hacker, realizes that there is great potential in collaborating with hackers. Facebook has one of the biggest bug bounty program in Silicon Valley right now. A bug bounty program is an opportunity for an independent hacker like Nir from Israel to find a problem with Facebook, report it, get it fixed, and also get a reward for his efforts. And this approach is not just taken by innovative companies like Facebook. Actually, AT&T, Samsung, PayPal, Microsoft, Google, all of the technology giants right now have such programs to collaborate with hackers. And I think this is a fantastic approach. And if you're interested in any of these technologies or websites, you can start researching them, and perhaps you'll find a bug there as well. There is even a bug bounty program for the basic technologies that we all use, like Ruby, Perl, and PHP. Microsoft collaborated with Facebook to put up the bounty, the reward, for people that can find problems. And they did this after Heartbleed, because they realized that some of these technologies, like the OpenSSL technology, is so critical for everybody, we can't afford not to pay hackers to look at these products, at these technologies, and find the problems. If you're curious to learn more about bug bounty programs, check out these 4 companies. These are companies that act like social networks, if you will, or mediators between the independent researchers and the big companies that want to work with hackers. If you're a big company and you want to work with hackers, talk to these guys. They can help you out. And I'm very passionate about this, so in the past year, I started a study, a research project, back home at Tel Aviv University, to look at the value of bug bounty programs. I was inspired by a different study done by Berkeley University in California. They looked at the bug bounty programs of Google and Mozilla. And here's the good news. If you use Google Chrome or the Mozilla Firefox browser, in a way, you're already enjoying the fruits and the benefits of the immune system, because these 2 programs collaborate the most with hackers, and they find the problems which are the most severe in their code by working with outside hackers. So this is what I think is a great approach for the future. But I see some of you are still like this. Okay, I understand. I'll try and give you a few more good reasons to wake up, to take the red pill, to think like you can be the hero of the future. So, reason number 3. You cannot do anything about cybersecurity. It's okay. There are a lot of very creative criminals out there. And these criminals don't really care about your secrets. What they really care about is making money. So, for example, the people that hacked into Target, I'm sure you heard about the massive breach into this big American company. A very serious company, a company that has $1 million security budget and a lot of good technology in place. how were the hackers so clever at getting into the system? Well, actually, they didn't hack Target first. They hacked a small company, Fazio Mechanical Services, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I would be surprised if you ever heard about Fazio Mechanical Services, because they are a refrigerator maintenance company. And as a refrigerator maintenance company, they didn't think they need antivirus or any kind of security in place. But they also happened to be the refrigerator maintenance company for Target. And so for the criminals, it was much easier to first hack into Fazio Mechanical Services and then use the Target Partner Portal, which is a third-party application, software created by another company, as the first entry point into Target, where they were able to steal 80 million credit card numbers. This company, the company that makes this portal, and this company didn't think they have anything to hide. After all, they're not very secret. They don't deal with private information. However, they were the entry point to Target. And this is another very creative criminal. I don't know if you ever had the chance to meet him. His name is Vladimir Chechin from Estonia. And I think he is currently spending some time in an American prison, because Vladimir Chechin was very creative, very clever, and he was able to infect 4 million PCs around the world with a virus called DNS changer, or ghost click in one of its other names. Maybe you never heard about DNS. Maybe you never heard about DNS changer. But this is another fundamental technology that allows us to browse the internet every day. And what is very clever and creative about Vladimir Chechin is that he infected 4 million devices, but he didn't care about the secrets the people had. He didn't care about the credit card numbers on these devices. In fact, he even infected thousands of computers at NASA, the American Space Agency, but he didn't care about where they are hiding the aliens or what they found in Area 51. No, this was not interesting to Vladimir Chechin. All he wanted to do was use the DNS settings to put up ads, banners and ads on their computers. And this is something called a combination of malware and advertising, or in short, malvertising. And Vladimir made a lot of money from malvertising, because the companies that were putting up those banners thought that they were getting millions of views and clicks, where in fact it was just a DNS redirection that made them think those banners are being shown to people. Vladimir didn't care about your secrets. He cared about using every computer that he can get his hands on as another resource to make money. So maybe you don't care about the future of cybersecurity. Every resource that you have will be taken over by a criminal to make money. In fact, even a connected CCTV camera can become a part of a botnet. Now, some people think, I don't care if they hack into my CCTV camera. So what if it has a default username and password? They can look in my backyard, there's nothing interesting going on there. Maybe that's true, but it is a connected device, and it has access to the internet. And so creative criminals have found a way to use even these devices as part of the botnet. And the botnet can be used to send spam. Nobody likes spam. Or it can be used to launch a denial of service attack and take down one of your favorite websites. So even if you don't think you have anything to hide, creative criminals don't care. They'll find a way to make money. So I think it's time to wake up and smell the coffee. And when it comes to this problem, it really isn't just for government agencies or law enforcement to solve it. It's really about all of us and the things that we do every day, the applications we download and click and install, or the devices that we leave with a default username and password. And the only way to get over attacks like what happened to Target, for example, or what happened at NASA with the DNS changer, is by sharing information about these attacks as they happen. And more companies and organizations around the world are learning to do this. Share the technical details of what went wrong in their systems without being ashamed to admit that they were hacked, because this is the reality. Everybody gets hacked. It is time to work together, not just one company with another, but with other companies in the industry, with hackers, and with security agencies. moving on to the fourth problem, the fourth reason why you should care. Think about who is standing on the front lines of this new connected cyber world. Maybe you think it's those soldiers that were on the stage earlier. Fierce cyber warriors, they are protecting all of us, right? Well, maybe they are very brave. I'm sure they are very knowledgeable. But the reality is that cybersecurity and cyber warfare and attacks, they don't really know a boundary. They don't stop in the entrance to a country and say, oh, here's the cyber military, let's watch out. They attack everybody and anybody. It doesn't matter where you are. They even attack you people sitting in the audience and your friends, maybe your mother, your cousin, the people that are clicking next, 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 the people that are downloading malicious applications. Even Taylor Swift was hacked. Her iCloud account was hacked. So it's not a matter of soldiers and spies. Cybersecurity is a matter for all of us. We are on the front lines. It's the people that click and approve or set a weak password. It really is for all of us to care about. And I think we need to look more like this. And we need to help our friends, our colleagues, our relatives, the people that we are in touch with, to think more like hackers. That means to be ready, to be smart, to think about the cyber issue as something that they have to care about. Even Taylor Swift has to care about it. So how can you teach people about cybersecurity? What can you do to share your knowledge and your information? Thankfully, again, in 2015, there are so many ways to do that. And in fact, if you want to make sure that the people you talk about cybersecurity with care, just tell them this piece of information. In the future, the world will need 1 million security professionals to provide for all of the challenges. So that means that if somebody cares about cybersecurity right now and learns about it, they are almost guaranteed a job for the future. So this is a good way to start teaching other people about caring about cybersecurity, because there is a growing need for more talented workforce. One thing I like to do is participate in crypto parties. I don't know if you've had crypto parties here in Spain. Anyone here participate in a crypto party? No? So I'll tell you what is a crypto party. It sounds very dangerous. It's actually a lot of fun. A crypto party is a voluntary meetup where people that know about cryptography, people that understand how to use SSL and PGP, how to encrypt your laptop, how to use Tor, they get together and they show people who don't know how to do it what cryptography is all about. They just teach other people. It's very simple and it can be a lot of fun. Another fantastic way, I think, to teach people about cybersecurity and to raise their awareness is an experiment that we did in Tel Aviv University. And this is something we like to call the Red Cyber Team. So a few of my colleagues, researchers at Tel Aviv University, and people that are in their day jobs, hackers or engineers at some of the leading security companies in Israel, they volunteered their time to spend a few hours every month and do a red team testing. That means try to hack some civil organization that didn't have a cybersecurity team in place. And they did kind of ask for permission, but not very formally. And some of their findings were amazing. In fact, they went to hospitals in Israel, and they were able to show the hospital management that cybersecurity is a major problem there by this simple experiment of volunteering their time and their knowledge to form the red team and going to the hospitals and showing them their vulnerabilities and problems with their technology. And that's another great way that you can embrace in your organization, in your company, in your community. And I have actually a question for the audience here. Who here has been in the world of cybersecurity or interested in hacking for more than 5 years? Have you been in this field for more than 5 years? Please do not be ashamed to admit it. I think you should be proud if you've been in cybersecurity for more than 5 years. Okay, keep your hands up, please. Keep your hands up. Who has been in this field for more than 10 years? Keep your hands up. Okay, thank you for lighting the audience for me. Okay, the people that have been doing this for 5 years and 10 years, hands up, please. Everybody else, if you want to learn about cybersecurity, look at the people with their hands up and go to them in the break and ask them, can you show me something I don't know? Can you teach me something I don't know? Can I go with you and learn something? this is how I learned. I found hackers that were more experienced than I am, and I shoulder surfed. Do you know what is shoulder surfing? I sat next to them when they were coding and hacking, and I tried to learn from them. And the people that already have the experience in this field, don't be ashamed to say, I have experience, I would like to teach you. Because there's no other way we're going to get more experienced cybersecurity people out there if we don't teach other people. One thing I try to do back home in Tel Aviv is that I start a group for women in cybersecurity. And I'm very proud to say these are some of my best friends who are leading cyber ladies. And the three ladies in the top, Irene, Hila, Renana, they all started as hackers in Israel, just like me. But they didn't have role models. They didn't have other women that were in the field to learn from. So by starting our group, we all learn from each other, and we can help each other. And we also take inspiration for women like Katie Masuris, who works for HackerOne, and Marion Marszalek, who is an Austrian malware reverse engineer. I think it's very important that if you have experience in this field, you can reach out to other people and show them how you learned what you learned. And you should be proud of your achievements and share that with other people. Finally, I reached the fifth problem that I see, the fifth reason why you should care. And this is a problem I call the gap. Of course, I'm not talking about the fashion company. I'm talking about the cyber gap. And the fact that we here in this room, we know how important cybersecurity is. But when we try to talk about it, or when we hear something about it in the news, it's more like this. Oh no, this cyber technology is going to destroy our planet, and hackers can destroy a uranium enrichment facility, and everything is going to be an apocalypse, and the next world war will be with sticks and stones. Probably you heard all of this stuff in the news. I think it's important to take this fear, because it is the fear and the cyber fear, and to take it down a notch. I don't think it's very realistic. I think it's important that when you, as a security professional, hear something exaggerated like this, you take it down, and you bring it to reality. So here's the reality. Squirrels, I mean the animals, have actually caused electrical blackouts in the United States multiple times. Not the maybe idea of a cyber attack taking down the power grid. The real idea, real animals, eating the power cables, caused electrical blackouts in the United States. So this is a real problem, just like cyber warfare, and I think we should bring it down to reality. And when we hear these fear, uncertainty, and doubt, we hear the news talking about how the damages from cyber warfare could be catastrophic. Bring it to reality. Fight it with the facts. Fight the FUD, if you will. FUD is the acronym of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Because it spreads just like a disease, and it makes it harder to secure our future if more people are just afraid. Because when they are so afraid of cybersecurity, they think, okay, it's despair. We can't do anything about it. When you know it, that's not true. The internet needs you. It needs you if you want to keep using it, if you want to have a safe and secure and free internet, free from censorship, free from criminals. Nobody is going to make it safe. The internet is for all of us, so it really is up to you. Not to read other people's emails, that's not very interesting. The internet needs you to be a hero, an icon, to take your knowledge, take your experience, and kind of like magic, make the world a better place. And so finally, I want to remind you that everything I said today are things we can all start doing. We don't have to ask for permission. Here are the reminders. Research what matters. Things that matter to human lives, not just secrets and passwords. Cars, medical devices, homes, Internet of Things. Don't keep bugs to yourself. If you find vulnerabilities, report them. There's never been so many ways to do that safely and legally as there are today. Understand that by collaborating and sharing, every organization can be safer. Because usually when a criminal attack happens, it doesn't just happen to one company. When it happens to Target, it also happens to Fazio. It also happens to other companies. When somebody changes your DNS settings, they also did it to 4 million other computers. So sharing is the first step to get rid of these criminals. Understand that Taylor Swift, or your colleagues, your friends, your families, are the people that make the life of criminals easier because they click and they approve and they don't care about cybersecurity. So you have to teach them. You have to make them as cyber smart as you are. Otherwise, they're just going to make us all insecure. And finally, stop the spread of the cyber fear. Bring it down to the facts, to the reality of what is possible and what is not possible in the cyber world. And once again, everything I said are things you can do. They are not illegal, and you don't need permission from anyone. You can just start doing it. You could change the world. You have access to the source code. Hacking gives you that power to change the world. And so, if you see yourself also like a hero by this point, I hope so. I hope you can join me in becoming part of the solution, part of the future of cybersecurity. And before I take some questions from the audience, I'd like to have one last question for you. The future is already here. The only question is, will you be able to save it? Thank you. Thanks. And now we will take some questions from the audience. I think we have some microphones. As you all get your gears ready to ask a question, please feel free to ask me questions in Spanish. I have a translation service option. And as you get ready to ask questions, is there anyone that wants to ask a question? Well, I will take this opportunity. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I will take this opportunity to invite you all to Tel Aviv. Because just like this fantastic event here, CyberCamp, which is supported by the Ministry of Industry and in Thibe, in Tel Aviv, at Tel Aviv University, we also have a free event called Cyber Week. It is in the summertime, in June. It's a great time to visit Tel Aviv. And I think just like here, it's the only place where you can see army generals, hackers, professors from the academy, startup entrepreneurs, and hackers all together. And now I'm hoping maybe you have some questions for me. Anyone? Please don't. Okay. So I have another question for the audience. Oh, yes, we have a question over there. Yes, please. Is it in Spanish?
Okay, I can sing. I think I can do this in English.
Perfect.
So I have a simple question. Why do you do this? Why are you a hacker? What is your philosophy, your working philosophy?
Thank you for the question. So I think it's clear that I'm very passionate about this. Maybe you can say that I am naive or romantic. I grew up in the 90s. And in the 90s, the idea of the internet, the idea of connected technology was a huge promise. I saw my science fiction books come into a reality. I was a big fan of cyberpunk literature. It's a type of science fiction. And I read in the books about hackers with connected devices that from their brains that are hacking an internet. And I saw that this was becoming a reality in the 90s. And then in the year 2000 and onwards, I saw this promise and this reality become broken and become dangerous and threatening. And so for me, that is the motivation to be the good hacker and work with companies and universities and talk to you here today to try and make this promise come back. I really believe in the future that technology can empower us, not just be a danger and a threat. Thank you for the kind question. We have more questions coming up, I think. Yes, I think one there and one there. Yes, the guy with the hat.
Oh,
Is it in Spanish?
Or in English?
English, please.
It's up to you. Sorry for my English. In a society like Irish societies, do you feel some obstacles or something hard for if you are a woman and And this is my question. How do
You're
you
asking
feel?
if I'm a woman? Yes, I was born a woman.
Yes, and this is the reason why in your society I feel your bases are separated, women and men, and it's a male society, maybe.
In the Israeli society?
Yes.
No, that's not true.
No,
But thank you for
okay.
the question. Let me answer it. So it's a common misconception that in the Israeli society, women and men are separated. This is actually true for Orthodox Jewish religious people. In the synagogue, they sit separately. But in the Israeli society, which is, 5 or 6 million people who are not religious, I think women are extremely equal in Israel. Our current parliament has 25% women, many of them newly elected members of parliament. In the military, we all serve together. I had the privilege and the honor of serving with my friends, and I think that we contribute in the same way to society and we are treated in the same way. Maybe this is an overly positive view, but that has been my experience. And yes, it's true that as a woman in this field of cybersecurity, I was often one of the only women around. I tried not to make it a problem for me, and I tried to look for role models. So for me, it was Angelina Jolie, a role model from the movies. Today, the reason I have the group of the leading cyber ladies in Israel, and there are more than 100 women in there. Some of them are twice my age. Some of them are working with the biggest government ministries or banks. Some of them are doctors, professors, is to bring these women together so that they can be role model for other women or guys or girls, anyone that wants to find their place in this world, in this industry. Thank you for that question. Do we have any more questions? I see one over there and one over here. I don't know if we have the time for the questions. Sheikh Razada, I have time for 2 questions. Okay. So please, let's have the first one. Where was it? The one with the question, raise your hand. Okay, hi.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We are usually encouraged to become hackers in conferences like this, but then the real truth is what we see. The example is Edward Snowden. He has to hide from the world because he tried to help society. So I would like to know your opinion about this kind of problem we are having with hackers in society.
I understand the question. So personally, I think if you consider the effect that Edward Snowden had, he had an impact. And yes, he's paying a personal price for what he did. But he did have an impact, a massive impact, a historical impact on the world. And I think if you consider around the world, there are different points of view about what Snowden did. And in some countries, in some places, he's not seen so much as a hacker, but more as a whistleblower or a social activist. Everything I talked to you about today is about being a hacker in a good light. It's about finding problems. And you know what? 10 years ago, some of the things I was talking about were illegal, and I would definitely get a call from the police. But today, that's great news. There are actually so many ways you can be a hacker without being sued. And I think the first place to start is, at least from my point of view, is to say I'm a hacker, proudly. Not to say, hacker is a negative term, it's a criminal term. Take that word back. Say that being a hacker is something creative, clever, something that we need in the world. That's my point of view. And I think the last question over there. Yes, please.
Yes, you talk about good hackers and bad hackers, but how can we know the exactly line that separates both of them?
That's a very good question. What is the line that separates a good hacker from a bad hacker? Sometimes you hear about white hat and black hat. Have you heard this term? White hat hackers, the good guys, black hats, the bad guys. Actually, I think it's more 50 shades of gray. So there is a lot of nuance. And really, in my point of view, it's about the motivation. It's about the moral compass. So if somebody is hacking just so that they would become famous, or that they make a lot of money, or that they cause embarrassment to somebody else, in my point of view, that's bad. If somebody is making a demonstration, even if it's scary and dangerous, like what Barnaby Jack did, but they're doing it for the better good, to make a difference, to demonstrate the problem, I see that as good. Of course, it's important to remember that there is also the political ideology. So perhaps the people from Anonymous were trying to hack ISIS. What they're doing maybe is illegal, but it is on the broader scale for a good cause. So it's up to each of us to decide what values do we stand for, and according to that, what kind of hackers we want to be. Thank you. Okay, I think we're done. Thank you so much. Gracias.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.